All right, hold on, I'm out.
Okay, I was.
Here we go.
I
We're
was. I was
live.
seeing.
I'm so excited to
Yes,
be
we
on this
are.
show. Success after lockdown.
No
It's nice to
question.
meet
No
you, Eric.
question. Same here. You heard. I just want to start off with our front so that he can do a little something to it with our front introduction. Mark, would you?
Well, I'm so happy
Syreta,
you
can
had
you
me
hear me?
on. Yeah, I can
Yo,
hear you
this
just
is
fine.
crazy because he got something else on the front screen right now, and we
Yeah,
live. And
that's
and
okay. Hey, it's
thank you.
fine. Listen,
No,
that's okay. I
no,
see that there's no female
he gonna start playing with them buttons, Syreta. He start playing with the buttons, and all type of stuff start happening. And he know I need a little bit of structure. I need some
Okay,
organization.
okay. Well, let me
That's
tell
all.
you, I
Yo,
had too much structure for way too long. Okay, count time.
yo, that's
No
I'm
thanks.
still trying to. I'm still trying to
No
get out of that.
thanks.
That's why
I get it.
I'm still in that bubble a little, you heard?
Yeah,
It's
and guess
been
what?
three and
It's
a
hard to
half
shake.
years. No question. It's been
23 and a
three and a
half.
half years, but it feel like three and a half days. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Since I've been home, after serving
Yeah.
27 years and 6 months. You
Wow.
know. So
Wow.
it's still a little culture shock for me. I would have shaken it by now. But I listen, I roll with the punches, and still do what I have to do to being that, to progressing in life, period.
I think about that all the time because I feel like a lot of times when we come out, we don't want to throw anything away because we're not used to having things, and what we did have,
Mhm.
I remember, we had a stand-up locker. This is in the women's facility. We our stand-up locker and two totes. So the things that you had in that stand-up locker and those two totes were what you had. And we hold on to stuff for way too long, and just because you didn't know if you were going to get it again. You didn't know what was going to happen. So the other day I'm in my my bathroom putting on my makeup, and this makeup is it's seen better days. And I'm like, girl, that was like $5.50. Throw that away. But it just kept going through my mind. So actually it took me 3 days to throw it away because I've just remembered times where if you had some makeup, you've been there a long time and you
Yeah.
held on to it for a long time. Now, this is just, in the women's prison. But I remember if you had a ranch packet and you hadn't used it all, you're like, man, this is good for like 3 days. Next time I cook something, I'm gonna put this ranch packet on it. Did I have a refrigerator? Absolutely not. Was I sticking it in this
Absolutely.
locker with no temperature control?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
No
hard. It's
question.
hard.
No. I get it because that's and when you say in the women's prison, the same
Yeah,
thing is in the men's prison. We had that
absolutely.
one locker. We had the tote. Two tote bag,
Yeah.
whatever it was. That was ours under the bed. We slided under the bed. That's ours. We got
Yes.
the net bag that we put up on the gate because some places
For
where
laundry.
I grew up at,
Yes.
there was roaches in the cells. Some
Oof.
places that I was in, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of New York State prisons for men, and I was in a lot of them. So
Mm-hmm.
some of them was worse than others, in terms of
Conditions are
safety.
bad.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely get it. And one thing I've been able to shed now is I've been able to throw things away immediately. I don't keep
It's
nothing.
hard for me.
I use half the Sassoon. I'm ready to throw that away. I'm not saving
I
Sassoon pack. So none of
You're
that.
doing
You know
better
what I
than me. It's
mean?
hard. It's hard. And I think
So I
about when I
get it.
first got out, my son took me to a buffet and I had this piece of chicken, but I'd eaten a whole bunch of other food. So I kept looking at it and I knew I was full, but I just knew that there were people where I left and be so happy for that chicken. And I just did not want to leave it behind. So it's just a thing. And talk about being traumatized when I walk into a Target or a Target, but they really do it at the grocery store where they're packing the food for people that are doing Instacart. They're packing them in the
Absolutely.
gray totes. And I was just like,
Mm.
oh, they just don't know someone's living out of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Listen, if we could give this formal introduction to each other
Sure.
right now, I guess I'll start with you first. Ladies
Yeah.
first, always with me.
Well, thank
So
you. Thank you.
no
Well,
question.
once
I'll
more,
start with you first. Just
I just
giving me
want
an
to thank you.
introduction into who Syreta
Oh,
is.
okay. Well, I was
Right,
just
right.
gonna tell you, it's a pleasure to be on this show. It's a pleasure to be in
And it's
Columbia,
our pleasure to
Missouri.
have you.
Thank you. And to be able to tell the story of other humans just like me that are being warehoused, that have been there too long, that, circumstances were not taken into account, but to talk about success and how we are successes. We just need a hand up, not a hand out.
Absolutely.
Like I tell people all the time because even I got heavily involved in my church and they were worried about me and burnout because I was working two jobs. I go to school, I was taking online classes. I got in the University of Missouri, MIZZOU. That's a thing. Uh, thank you. So I was working these two jobs.
Yes.
I was going to school and they were so worried that I was going to get burnt out. And I told them when I got out of there, I promised myself I was going to work like someone who came from a different country and didn't have anything but the clothes on their
On
back.
their back.
Because in
Yes.
reality, it was somewhat like that. It was somewhat like that. You know what I'm saying? And I refused to lose. And I
That's
wasn't going
right.
to give up. So my name is Syreta Toson. I'm a keynote speaker. I have my own podcast series. I was just talking about some of the places I was so fortunate enough to be around the right people at the right time. Had a really good job at the Regional Economic Development and Corporation. That's actually the building I'm in today. I had to step down. I lost my father. My mother came, had a lot of faith and knew that I was doing the right thing. So I had to get her on her feet. And I came back as a client. People were learning how to start businesses. And I
Yes.
was there, as a receptionist. And I said, "Ooh, I was soaking it up. I was soaking it up. I was soaking it up." But I was still working like an immigrant, like I just came to this country with nothing because I did. So when my mom came, I said, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna get a part-time job, and guess what? I'm gonna become a client. I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna do my own thing. And I haven't even been in this world 18 months. Check me out. My website's right below. Got a
That's
YouTube.
right.
I'm doing
That's
everything I
right.
can because I got a lot of people riding on me. I got 1,300 women I left in the state of Missouri in Chillicothe Correctional Center that are depending on me and my success and to tell their story and so they can tell it for themselves. They need a voice, and I'm it. That was a big intro.
That's
That was
right.
a
No
big
question. No
intro.
question.
Thank you.
No question. No doubt. And so for me, I'm originally from Bronx, New York. Grew
Mm-hmm.
up in the Bronx, born and raised. And for me, I was convicted of murder in the second degree for
Me as
taking a young
well.
man's life, just like myself. So I put all accountability and you know and just that walk of life now for me is just the right path because from my youth, my colorful, troubled youth, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know nothing but negativity. Okay, I could have seen some things and highlight some things that I did that were good, because I was family first,
Yeah.
still is family first. But at the
Uh-huh.
same time, was in my past, I say to myself, was I really family first to pick up and go and leave my
Mm-hmm.
family like that and leave a son that was 4 months old, who is 30 now, you know. So I look at that too, and after serving this 27 years, 6 months incarceration, at uh coming home on August 10th, 2010, I uh I was prepared. I prepared myself,
Yeah.
because what I did was, a lot of us that's men that I could speak of that came into the prison system, that was in the streets. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of us, we learned it takes us longer to get it, to
It's
have
not
that
just the
pivotal
men.
moment.
It's
It
not
takes us
just the men, but
longer.
go ahead.
Definitely not
Yeah.
than others. For me, it took me seeing that gravel being hit and receiving that 25 years to life, and going up north. It took me at that point to go through that transition, that self introspection of myself and say,
Mhm.
enough is enough. I don't want to do this. If I'm gonna die in here, I'm gonna die here the right way. I'm gonna do right. I'm gonna do right by
Yeah.
God. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mhm.
gonna do right. Period. You know, so that's how I structured my life in there. You know, I went in without a GED. I came out with my associates, my GED, my
Yeah.
associate's, bachelor's, and my master's degree. And so, you know, I didn't let the time do me. I did the time and did it
Absolutely.
productively. And I prepared myself like, you know, about 10 years before this, 10 years before my actual release in 2020. I was watching Love and Hip Hop and Love After Lockdown and
Smut. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, and I seen that, and I said, and I also was watching the men that went home before me come
Mhm.
back into the prison for
Mhm.
graduation days with our families. They used to in my prison, the prison, not my prison, the prison that I was in, they used to allow the families to come in and they used
Oh,
to let them see the graduations. They used to come in with celebrities as well. We had at my
nice.
graduation, we had Whoopi Goldberg, we had Ice-T and Coco. Warren Buffett was at my graduation. His
Well,
sister
shouts out to
Doris Buffett,
them.
no question. His sister Doris Buffett, she came to our graduation every year until she passed away. You
Yeah.
know, so we had all these people there, and I used to see the brothers that went home prior to me. They used to be doing stuff in the community now,
Yeah.
which helped me and inspired me because they came from where I came from. We created
Right.
programs in the prison system for men that you know, for us to actually go through that thorough introspection of ourselves and rehabilitate. So we created programs, self-help therapeutic programs for ourselves, and
Yeah.
fatherhood and mentoring programs I created, and also programs to connect us with the outside world. So we had a program called Voices from Within that we actually got senators and clergy in the New York City area to come and visit us, and
Nice.
we gathered money from the population in the prison, which, you know, in Sing Sing Correctional Facility, New York State
Mhm.
Prison. They, you know, it consists of about, I think it's 1,700. I could be a little wrong.
Mhm.
1,800 men that's in the prison, and we collect donations from them in our organization. So we had non for profit organizations in there where we sold cakes and stuff to the population, and we did
Mhm.
something for the community. So we would gather that money, and we would like we had
We
a
would have a fundraiser.
that's
Yeah,
right,
we did
and
that. We did that. But listen, we
that's
didn't have
right.
Ice-T and Coco. We didn't have Warren Buffett. We didn't have Whoopi Goldberg. So when we get off here, you need to tell me how to get them here and uplift my people because we didn't have
Yeah,
anybody. We had a
look,
chaplain. That was it.
that's right. I'm in the process of finding out how to get them to me now while I'm out here. You heard? That's it.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
we definitely gonna stay in touch. And I think we'll make things happen. We, you know,
Yeah,
get things
and I'll need
shaking.
you to have me
You know
back
what I
on
mean?
too because your perspective is a little bit different than mine. But let me tell you the stories that you've been telling. When I went away, my son was 10, but he came and got his mama when he was 24. And I said,
Nice.
Mom, I need y'all to, stay home and let him come pick me up himself. And it was a blessed
Mm.
day. So I know about leaving a child behind. Now, did I, in my heart of hearts, really feel like I was a good family member? Absolutely not. They couldn't find me half the time. Now, growing up,
Mhm.
I had, a lot of things going for me. I was always smart. I was always charismatic, and all those uh, good qualities, I was able to transcend those into being bad qualities. I was able to
No,
just
yeah.
take all of that and, oh, I want to get the money. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm young, I'm sprite, I'm spunky, all these things. So I took all that good and parlayed it into bad. Now, fast forward, similar to you, when I got to the penitentiary, I wanted to change, but not when you did. It took me a few years of being angry. It took me a few years of being disappointed, about my situation, the amount of time I had in front of me, just seasons of just,
Hmm.
hey, I don't have a light at the end of this tunnel. But then about 6 years before it was time to go home, that light started shining. And I remember getting put out of the reentry center because I said to the woman, I said, hey, I need these addresses. I need to write these people so they will know who I am. She said, trust me, they're going to know who you are. And she was the
Nice.
one that helped to orchestrate me coming to where I am right now. And I actually started a woman's transitional house here and was the first resident. I lived there for a month by myself. And then I ended up living there for the rest of the time by myself. Just, other people, they just weren't ready yet. Hey, when you see them coming in and out, that's a good testimony too. That, hey,
Absolutely.
their story is still being written. And I was actually thankful to see people come back, because that way I know they hadn't died out there, and I was just waiting for my chance. So I started uplifting people. We had fundraisers for a wonderful program. It was the Patch program, where they get drivers, because not everybody has transportation to get their kids to the penitentiary. So we would sell things. We would give half the profits to the organization on the outside. But you were doing it big, and New York is a bigger place.
Yeah.
However, I've heard about the conditions in which you face there. Another
Deplorable.
situation to give you impetus to never go back. Just
No question.
not being able to reach my full potential is my impetus to never go back. Because what I'm doing now are things I could have been doing, but now that I have the opportunity, I'm carpe diem, seize the day.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and when I say my transition, what I meant too, when that gravel hit the pavement for the judge,
Yeah.
I meant that I began to go into the transition. I wasn't fully there,
No,
it was
hard.
stages. So it took
Yeah.
me at least 3 years before I really started getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that first year, I was like, damn, I'm tired, man. Like, it was like a ton of bricks lifted from my shoulder, because
I can
I
relate.
begin to, you know what I mean? I begin to tell myself,
Yes.
like, yo, I don't want to do this no more.
I didn't think I was depressed. I didn't think I was depressed, but I was. I remember
Absolutely.
I used to sleep all the time, and my roommates would be like, "You're going to get bed sores," and I just couldn't get up. I couldn't get up. When I got there, they gave me a paper said it was 10 years before I was even eligible for parole. And after I saw the parole board, I wouldn't get an ASAP date. I still had to serve 85% of my sentence. So when I had that paper, I still have that paper. It's on my Instagram. If you go on my Instagram, Syreta Free, and then my business is Syreta Talks, I still have that paper. Wait, let's circle back. Maybe I need to get rid of it. Because you said maybe I need to get rid of it. But that paper stayed with me. It stayed with me.
No
And so
question.
did
No
the one that
question.
had a date.
That's right.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
And I say that because I said after that, that moment was my time that I was reflecting on myself. So I kept finding myself gravitating, being pulled towards the streets. And I call the yard and the gym the streets, because that's where everybody, we all, was able to
That's where
come
we
together.
congregate.
Yeah, and it
That's where
wasn't
we plot and scheme and plan.
positivity, no question. And so I begin to close that gate on myself and say, yo, listen, I want to get into my studies. I want to get into, all the things that I know, because like you said earlier, and I talk about this all the time, is we know we smart. I know I was smart when I was younger. When I went to school, I used to bust them A's out, but I just let the streets, I gravitated more towards the negativity
the fast
of
life,
life.
what it seems like
mean?
fun. And I said, even, on one of my podcasts, I wish I was a square. I wish I had a straight job. I got involved in, adult entertainment. I was basically involved in human trafficking, but I was so naive. I thought that, I knew what was going on. Regardless, the fast life, the fast money. And then I would think to myself, like, and it actually becomes like a lazy lifestyle. Like, we might feel like we're out here gritting, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're getting the money, da, 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 da. No, we're lazy, because the real people that are going to have the good life are actually putting in the time and the effort. They're not looking for a quick hustle. They're not, just because you stayed up all night getting the money doesn't mean that you worked hard for it. Whether you're selling drugs or you're selling.
That's right. And I also, and on that note, I also like to always talk about that in terms of we like the people in the streets, the drug dealers and the whatever it is, we like this little, hold to the world. Like, the world is so much bigger, but we think that we revolve around that, when
That's
that's
right.
nothing,
That we're something like a big deal. doing that.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. Doing what we're doing
And there's
right
so
now,
many more
that's a big
people
deal.
that's right. There's so many more that's doing much more than what we doing in the
Absolutely.
streets. That, like you and myself right now, what we doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's just going to get
that's
bigger.
not.
Because guess
That's
what?
right.
The plan is to uplift and change a life. If somebody listening right now is thinking about, hey, you know, it looks so much fun what they're out there doing. It looks so much fun being on drugs. Oh, yeah, well, weed is legal. Let's just go smoke some weed. Hey, let me tell you, when they said marijuana is a gateway drug, it is. Nobody says, hey, let's just go try smoking crack. And they've never done it before. So if you can hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, like the movie, let me tell you, there is no future in that. There is no future in that.
Absolutely.
I did not imagine that one day I was going to wake up and be in jail facing first-degree murder. I was facing a life sentence that could go with or without the chance of parole. 2.5 years later, took a plea, second-degree murder, armed criminal action. I did not wake up that day at 28 years old and think I'm going to spend every day of my 30s in the penitentiary. I did not think that I'm going to go in at 28. I'm not going to come out until I'm 43. You know what I'm saying? Like, these were not the thoughts that went through my mind when I first started, you know, oh, it doesn't matter. And here's what happened is, I'll just say personally, it had a lot to do with, I was real strong in the church growing up. My parents got divorced. We stopped going to church. So all those friends that I had that were positive, that were doing the right thing, I wasn't around them anymore. So I decided, since I was the best at, you know, being a little Christian girl, I was going to be the worst at doing, you know, I was going to be that girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
well, that's
so
that's that thing of being all in and all out. Pardon me for cutting you off too. I
no,
apologize.
that's exactly
But
right.
I'm trying
I've never heard it that way,
stay in
but that's
sync
right.
with you. I'm trying to stay in sync with you. But that's
Absolutely.
you know that's another thing too about we live our life because that would be hypocritical if you didn't go all in. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Or what you was gonna do the wrong way. So I looked at it. I looked at my past when I was young, and when I get into something, I got into it all the way. And so that's how I live my life now too. So I told myself when I was in prison, growing up in prison, I told myself that I was going to do nothing but positivity and nothing else. And that's how I live my life this day. Nothing but positivity. I don't want no shortcuts. I don't want none of that around me. And another thing I just want to express too is I think me and you on the same page and understanding, because and it's amazing how where you at and I'm where I'm at. We don't, this is our first time talking with each other, but I seem like I know
so many parallels.
You know what I mean? No question. And it's crazy because I remember like looking at life and just understanding life for what it is. But I'm gonna let you just get off because I'll talk about something else.
No. I just love what you said. It's about being all in. It's about being all in. And it has to go with your mindset. Like my mindset was, hey, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be a Christian, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then as soon as things shifted, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna be out here and I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go all in. But just like when that shift, when I was in the penitentiary, I remember I was sitting, I don't know where I was, but I said, I'm gonna stop and adapt into this environment and I'm gonna make this environment adapt to me. And I'm tired of, being 1209 553. And I'm changing everything and I'm changing everybody around me. And I remember there was a period of time and up until the time I left that I wouldn't even go outside if I was sad, because everybody was used to this smile, and I would uplift and I would encourage, because I knew when I got here that I was going to do the same thing. And I remember I was always praying. I'm like, God, I need a job with some money, but I also want to help people. Now I was prepared to come out if I had to, but let me tell you, he did not have that in my plan. He had talking to you right now in my plan. Let me tell you, I started my own business. I have a business license from the state of Missouri. I have one from the city in which I live in. I work for a program. I never thought that I'd be able to touch the lives of children, even though my case involved a grown man. I was in a bad way. I made a bad decision, but I had plenty of chances to change before that. Victim, victimizer. At the end of the day, I got a part-time job because, like I said, I had the great job here, and now I'm a client, even better. So I'm a client of the Regional Economic Development Incorporation, and my part-time job, which hey, we all need something, to keep the money flowing, is a community outreach for Grade A+. Grade A+ provides enrichment opportunities for kids that might not have them otherwise, teaches them how to swim, robotics, teams them up with mentors from the colleges here. So every job that I've had, in some way, I get to help people. You know, I get to help
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
And guess what? It's because I put in the work. I'm all in.
All in. That's I wanted to speak too quickly on just the similarities with us too as well, because
Yeah.
I like me looking at the drug world today. And when I tell you I was all in from the age of 12 to 20. You know, I was all in. I done been to places we don't even need to go with that, but I've been to a lot of places and I sold that poison in a lot of places, you know, other than New York City, other than New York State. And now when I look back, and I hear it in you right now too, is when I look back, like I would never have, I can attest that I would never, ever, with the mind state that I have now, I would never sold that poison to my community. That would not have happened under no circumstances.
Let me turn it around. I would have never put it in my body.
That's right.
I would have
And I
never
was
got
getting, that's right.
dabbling.
I was getting ready to say that the blessing for me is that I never was the one to do it, to do drugs, but I sold it. I was materialistic, but it still was a drug. It still was an addiction to me. You know what I mean? And so I had to,
the hustle is an
come to
addiction.
grips.
Yeah, the hustle is an addiction, and it's just as powerful as the drugs. Because when I was in that life, I wasn't taking drugs. I needed your money. I needed your money so I could go buy the drugs. So as hard as I was out there working, you know, to get the money, no matter how you want to, you know, escort, da 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 da, we're doing the same thing. Don't try and dress it up. As hard as I was out there getting the money and so satisfied with the amounts of money that I was getting, I was going to go ahead and turn around and spend my money with you. And then I would be upset if you wanted to save me, because that happens sometimes too, and didn't want to sell me drugs. Then I had to move on to someone else because I'm not to be saved.
And it's crazy that you said that, because the audacity of me. Like, okay, look.
Because you had a heart condition. Yes, and let me tell you, all of my drug dealers want to fall in love. No, I want to get high.
No, that's a fact. Listen, I used to sell drugs in my youth, and when selling them, I came across many women that was older than me. That I had one that was pregnant that I used to beg to get off of. I used to beg her to get off of this drug. But guess what, Syreta? I still used to give it to her because it was like I was just too soft. And I was like, yo, come on. And she used to, please, Eric, please let me, know what I mean? Okay, I'll get off it this last time. So it was like, it was the audacity of me to you know what I mean?
Your heart felt bad, but you still got that money. Your heart felt bad, but you still got that money.
And so that right there carried with me for a long time. You know, I've been able to forgive myself. You know what I mean? Because
you should. Because guess what?
Because of my education.
Yeah, well, I knew nothing about recovery or being sober or anything like that. So I get off on these drugs, and I didn't know it at that time that when somebody would look up, 2 days later in the hotel getting high with me and be like, I was sober 10 years. Like, I didn't get what they were saying. I've been clean like 8 years. And so I moved to Atlanta and was working at Lenox Mall. I clean up pretty nice. Sometimes it would even be hard to get drugs because they'd be like, oh, you're a cop. You don't sound the way, you don't look that way. And I'd say, you know what? I'll smoke it in front of you and give me a couple days. I'll fall off. That's how it was. But I had no idea the impact I was making on other people's lives because I didn't know anything about getting sober. This was the life that I had, and it was fun until it wasn't anymore. And that didn't mean that it was over because it wasn't fun anymore. It was sad. It was sad. I took myself down through there, and I didn't need any help because guess what? I was all in.
No, absolutely. That's a fact. Another thing that I looked at is just the I guess the psychological part of this or the mental health part, right? And when I look at that, this is why we also, and I wish my partner was here because he has, his name is Anthony Cologne. That's my partner on Success After Lockdown.
That's right.
He
That's
lives
right.
in Florida. You know, he lives in Florida, and he has his own business. He has a wellness center. He has over
Nice.
14 beds, over 100 something beds, over 14 houses.
Helping.
That's no question. And his thing is he's really hard on mental health part of life, period. You know,
Yes.
and we could
Yes.
talk about that. We could talk about that now.
Okay, it's on the
And so this is a segment on our StreamYard that we have for cell therapy, what we call cell therapy for success after lockdown, where we do dive into those issues, those mental health
Yes.
and issues that
Yes.
we talk about. And so I know you ready for that one because
I
I know
am. I
you
am.
understand how
Yeah. About
important
trauma.
it is for people to understand the trauma within people that's formerly incarcerated, as well as just around us
Absolutely.
in society.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. Were you more sensitive when you got out to disappointment and being judged than you were when you were inside?
Oh, definitely.
Me
I
too.
think I could say I was more yes. Know what I
Yes,
mean?
I was sensitive and I wanted to believe in people out here because I'd been so used to being hardened, ossified,
Hardened.
you know what they call us lawn timers. You know, they always say lawn timers are hard to deal with and da 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 da
Mm-hmm.
because we are institutionalized. We're not getting any help for that. That's just our coping mechanism. So when I got out of here, I was like, yay. And I thought for sure that when that gate closed behind me, that all the
Mm-hmm.
doors out here were going to open up for me. That wasn't always the case. I just recently got turned down to get a real estate license. And my friend is a real estate broker was going to give me a job at her real estate firm. So that's okay because, it's all in the grand plan. But I was also turned down to become a peer support specialist to get the certifications to help people who have faced the same traumas as me. But one of the most impactful things on my mental health was being so afraid when I had that great job where I'm at right now, that someone was to find out about my past and not think that I was genuine. Because the look that when you walk past me, they
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh my God." Like I would tell people that after I finally got comfortable, single people like, I spent a long time in prison and they all thought I was lying. They thought I just made that up.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe that
Nope.
day I
I
was going
believe
through
you.
it and they were thinking about a prison of my own, in my mind or something. And I'm like, no, I spent 14 and a half years in Chillicothe Correctional Center in this state. And I've been afraid. And as soon as I was able to talk about it, then people came out and started to help me because they found out they learned me first. And I feel like that's a stigma is if they come, if I walk in a room and I tell you, well, I was in prison 14 and a half years, you're going to start looking at me different. You're going to think my
Mm-hmm.
smile is a fraud and it's not. It's not. That all this
Absolutely.
good person, I'm that good person. So if we can do something to break down that barrier just through this conversation right now, where someone else doesn't have to be traumatized every time they see somebody. And, here's another thing. The job I got, they instantly gave me business cards because I was the administrative coordinator. And every time someone would take a business card, it would be bittersweet. Like, yay, you want to keep my card, but no, what if you Google search me?
Mm-hmm.
What if you put my name in?
Absolutely.
You see my past. Scared.
Yeah, that's
Scared.
and I went through that too. But
Yes.
however, and I still go through it. I'm transitioning in jobs right now with jobs right
Uh-huh.
now. I'm still in the process of creating my own business. I do
Yes.
have, my
I will help
LLC.
you.
We do have our
Yeah.
company, no question. Word up.
Yeah.
I need all the help I could get.
Same here.
Because just because I was here, like the last time I was out here was before any of this, all of this, before phones. I had a big box phone that go in the car, that go in the
Oh
lighter,
man.
you put into the lighter. So I didn't see none of this technology. I'm learning it now as we speak. Um,
Mhm.
but when I came home, I was prepared because we had a network going on in there. The men in there that was progressive, that was education. Going to
Uh-huh.
school, staying in the school building for everything. I eat and breathe the school building. I don't care. I don't want to be nowhere else but the school building, because this is where we created everything at, in the school building. And we went out to the yard at least once or twice a week just to go fishing and grab some other brothers that we know on the fence and that want to be educated. You know what I'm saying? So we did that. We made sure we did that like clockwork. The men that I grew up with in there. And so I did 3 different resumes, because I got my certification in welding. I MIG, TIG weld, in art. So I got my certification in welding. I was a computer repair clerk, learning about computers, because I definitely knew that I was coming out here to, you know what I mean? So those things. I also, worked in a tailor shop, so I know how to sew clothes. I know how to, make clothes, stuff like that. I also, did a lot of other things too, trades that I have under my belt that I don't need to, what's the name? But my point is that I created a resume for all of those prior to me coming home. And so my attitude to even the men in there, because I left a lot of brothers behind. A lot of brothers are home too that and so I left a lot of them behind, but a lot of them came home as well. And they know, that I'm of the medicine that, or the method that, listen, you're gonna win
of success.
Period.
Of success.
And so we have brothers that I know and know of that's out here that make more than people in corporate America. That, I know brothers that came home and made 100,000 a year.
Because that is our potential. I'm going to just jump in real quick. That is our potential. Right. Those are our capabilities. We are ready, we are willing, and we are able. So let me say it one more time. We are ready, we are willing, and we are able. And only sometimes do we need to learn these skills to become more capable. So have the patience to teach us, but first have the presence of mind and know that you should not be judging anyone. You should not be judging anyone, because you don't know what their past is. And let me tell you, I'm sure you know, we work harder than most people. We work harder than most people.
Fact.
Because we know this is a chance. Give me that chance, and I'm gonna do everything I can with it. And we're helpers. We're helpers because we know about being down and out. I've been in, I do another show with Keenan Hudson, and I had one of my friends, because I'll bring all the homies on that are doing really good, just the homies. Anyways, her name's Karen Back, and she went for a money crime. So everybody's in there. We're on the same even playing field. We're on the same even playing field. It doesn't matter if you came in for a money crime. It doesn't matter if you came in for, being a hopeless drug addict and continually violating. We're on the same even playing field. So when we come out, give us the same chance, because I'm going to work like I've been in a prison factory, which I learned how to sew, making a quota, 276 pairs of men's boxer shorts, and I got paid 50 cents an hour. I made $5 a day, 10-hour days.
Absolutely.
Now, if I work for 50 cents an hour with back-breaking labor, everybody smells like muscle rub, then imagine what I can do if you let me use this mind I have.
That's right.
That's a trauma. That's a trauma being turned down.
No question. And just to big up Keenan, this is where I met you. I seen you on his show. I said, let me.
That's right.
I have to meet her. As well as Karen.
Thank you.
I seen you with her. So definitely. And we actually interviewed Keenan, which I loved it.
Great dude.
You know what I mean?
Have you written your book yet?
See, it's amazing you said that, because me and my producer, Mark, the cameraman, we actually was getting chapters done right now before
confirmation. Confirmation. Now
Absolutely.
You asked me that question.
Have you written your book yet?
It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be a bestseller too, because I got a ratchet past. Yes, organized crime and all that. So
no question, no doubt. I don't know if you familiar. This is just a side note. You're familiar with Sheila Bruno?
I've heard of Sheila Bruno. She has a podcast, correct?
Yes, yes. And Sheila will be on with us shortly, supposed to be on with us shortly, because she would
Okay,
love for
sounds
you
good.
to. She would love, and I would love for you to meet her and y'all to
Well,
meet
thank
each
you.
other.
And I'd love the introduction, but I've noticed something as we've been speaking here that every picture that you have seems to be of a male inmate. You
Well,
don't have
well,
any females
well,
represented.
well, I do my podcast. We have plenty of women on our show,
No, no, no.
formerly.
I'm saying in your pictures. So, as a
Understandable,
testament to me,
understandably
I'd like,
so. That's right. We got you. The next one, you'll be on that
yes.
next that next
Well, I'm
flyer
going to
that we
send you a
create.
picture of me in the struggle, me
No
in the
question.
struggle. So
But that
that way
was
you can
just
represent.
I'm gonna blame my producer, Mark,
Okay,
the
blame him.
cameraman, because he put us on, me and my partner. He just put our
Yeah.
pictures. Those are only pictures of me and Anthony Cologne.
Oh, well, then you
And
can save mine for when I come on, but I want to be a part of that too because you are my
absolutely,
brother. You are my brother in the
absolutely,
struggle, and I'm your sister. And there's
no
so
question.
many sisters, and you know what I'm saying? We need each other. We need each other. Just like you talks about Whoopi, Iced Tea, Coco. If they're listening, I need you to come to Missouri. I need you to uplift these women.
That's right.
We got Dog the Bounty Hunter, and he was supposed. Let me tell you, let's just say that we got Dog the Bounty Hunter. Can
Yeah,
Ice
yeah.
T,
Don't go there.
Coco,
Don't go
Warren Buffett?
there.
Can they please come? Can we get Whoopi Goldberg?
No, absolutely. Me and my partner and my producer, we actually creating a campaign to try to get Whoopi and Ice T and Coco and them, that those that came to the graduation, because they
Yes,
know us. They know us, whether it was formally or informally. I have pictures with
yes.
I have pictures with Harry Belafonte. God bless his soul. Harry came to
R.I.P.
our graduation. That's right. He came
Yes,
to
people
my
need to see
graduation.
that. We
That's
need to
right.
see that. And they don't have to be formally incarcerated, but just to know that someone in the community sees potential in you. Oh my gosh, that just chokes me up because as I started to transform and change, and I became a leader in the penitentiary. So I try and tell people if you can be a leader there, you can be a leader anywhere. And I remember sitting outside by myself in the snow. And an officer walked up and said, Tosin, what's wrong? I always see you with, a lot of people. You're always smiling. Are you depressed? And I said, I am. And I didn't know it. I just know I wanted to be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So even though most of the time, of inmates, I don't want to be an offender. There's nothing offensive about me. After you've been there so long, you develop relationships with the other side. And sometimes for them just to walk up and encourage you can get you through years. You know, like when I
That's right.
left, there were so many people rooting me on, officers included, because they'd been there with me so long and they wanted me to come out here and have a chance. So people just don't know how empowering it is too. Like if listen, if Coco would have came in there, because a lot of women in the penitentiary, we aspire to things, but just to say, hey, I believe in you, it goes a long way.
No way.
Now
That's right.
it does. It goes a long way.
No question. No, you are right. You are absolutely right. And I think that's what helped me to being a better person as well, and my growth and development, because when I was going to these graduations, I went to them even if they weren't mine. I got on the setup crew. When
Yeah,
you get on the setup crew and help out, even though I wasn't graduating, I'm still going to that graduation because I knew it was going to be
absolutely.
somebody, another celebrity there that I can, talk to and speak with,
Yes.
just so that they can see our genuineness, that they can see, who we
Yes.
really are, even under those circumstances,
Yes.
so that was
Yes.
inspiring to me. And that's what made me create this platform, because I told myself almost 12 years ago, just probably almost 15 years now,
Yeah.
I told myself that what I'm going to do is create a platform for brothers and sisters like me and yourself, that
Yeah.
the society can see that we not only coming home and staying home,
Oh
we
yeah.
coming home, staying home, and making a difference in our community positively. So,
Absolutely.
so
And
that's
you
why
were at
this.
that graduation, even though it wasn't your time, but when your time came, you were there too. You
That's
know?
right. And so
And
that's why
and
this.
listen, another encouragement to me was, so I had what they called in Missouri baby life. I had a 17-year sentence. I had to give them 14 and a half inside. And some of my friends that, they didn't have a chance to come home, and they weren't going to have a chance to come home, they take me under their wing and say, you're doing better. You're trying. Sometimes that's all they could offer was you're trying. Because I had that anger inside. I went from, like I said, victim to a victimizer, and then go to jail. No type of, no therapy, no nothing. We'll throw you some psych meds, you'll be all right, or are you faking? And, you just don't really address any of your issues. Right. Like I'll say out here, I still haven't got a chance to address those issues because you have to develop a relationship. But sometimes just the encouragement, like if somebody watching me right now can say, golly, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. Maybe I need to be encouraging so-and-so. Maybe I need to tell them they're doing a better job, or that they're trying. Because sometimes somebody just telling me that they recognize that I was trying, impactful.
That's right. Impactful. And you're a testament that we are not defined by our last felony.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Absolutely. Here's another thing. Don't judge me for something that took that long to do. That I didn't even have a thought. I didn't even have a thought. I saw a second gun on the scene. I picked it up, and I remember as my hand reached, it was like, dear God, forgive me. And I didn't even think, no second thought, didn't even think about it. So in that moment, my life changed forever. But don't hold me into that. Don't pigeonhole me into a decision that took less than 5 seconds, because my life still goes on.
15, 20 years ago.
Yes, 15 years ago, actually. Yeah. And I'm not that person. I wasn't that person 5 minutes before that happened. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't that person until that moment. And that didn't mean that was who I was every day. Let me tell you, I tell people all the time, we don't wake up that morning and decide I'm going to go kill somebody. You don't wake up that morning and decide I'm going to go do something that's going to end me up in prison. You don't wait. That's not how that goes. You make a series of bad decisions, and one day it catches up to you. Hopefully it doesn't catch up like it did for me or you.
Absolutely. That's well said for our followers, for society to see and hear. If we can make that, this right here, it can make a difference to somebody. That's all I look for out of it. I don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
that's a good way to wrap it up, because you're making a difference. I'm trying to make a difference. Somebody who's listening can. They can. You just got to think about a way you can. You can make a difference. If it's only self-change, if you're only looking inside of you, like, hey, let me root through my behaviors. Let me root through my mind. Let me root through the way that I'm thinking, because I don't want to, or because I can do. Because I can do this to help someone. I can do this to change myself, or because I don't want to be in that position that they were, because I don't want to end up with a lot of time in front of me and really have to reevaluate the things that got us there. Because that's when you start thinking, because you got a lot of time to think.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't realize they got a lot of time to think outside the gate. You need to start thinking about it before you got a lot of time to think in a different place, in a different environment.
Yeah. I mean, so if you could, what would you tell, what advice would you give those that you left behind, the sisters in there?
Oh, that I'm out here fighting for you. I'm out here fighting for you.
No question.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And let me tell you, I know people,
can go.
What'd you say?
I ain't mean to cut you up, and how their preparation can go, because I think that it's helpful. I think I was helpful to a lot of brothers that was in there before they came out, because I shared this information with them. What it I believe that it takes for them to be successful coming out here. And some of us could get on the ground and start running, and some of us can't. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll tell you, and it's real simple. Without a plan, you plan to fail. Okay, so you need to start working on that plan way before it's time to go home.
Immediately.
You know what I'm saying? I have a friend. She served over 27 years as a juvenile, life without. Never thought she was going home. Got home. All right, got home, and says reentry starts when you get to jail. When you get there. That's when it starts. Now you're not ready. You know what I'm saying? That's when them thoughts hey, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. But here's another thing a friend of mine said on a podcast that I was on. Hey, people say I was dealt that deck of cards. You can shuffle them. Without a plan, you plan to fail.
That's
And you
right.
got to plan out everything. Psychology says Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It starts with, if I don't have something to eat, if I don't have clothes on my back, if I don't have a place to sleep, then how can I make it to the next level of I can find a job, I can get a car, I can go back and forth. So you need to be thinking about everything, from the socks and the shoes you're going to wear to how you're going to eat, where you're going to live. And then as soon as you can, where can I work? And don't come out with unrealistic expectations. You're not going to come out as a CEO. You're not going to I was willing to scrub toilets, but I became a receptionist. So that worked out good too. But let me tell you, don't let your pride get in the way either,
That's
because
another thing.
humility will get you
Very,
everywhere.
very, very important.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
letting it get in the way.
That's right. Put your pride to the side.
No question, because
Yeah.
and I told people, like, the classes that we had, that we gathered together in the prison system. I used to always tell people, like, I don't care what it is. I don't care that, oh, but you got this degrees, you doing this, you don't
Yeah.
have to. I know what I don't have to do, but guess
Yeah.
what? When I go home and a McDonald's hat open, I'm putting on that cap faithfully and
Yeah.
with a smile on my face, and I'm doing it like it's my own business.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna work
Absolutely.
that position like it's my own business. And so
Ah,
that's what I do with everything in life. So, I
you're
try
all
to tell
in.
people, no question. I try to tell people, you have to get all in. That's the key,
Yeah.
what you just said.
Oh,
You have to
listen,
get
I'm going
all
to tie that back to, like, I'm a believer. You can't be lukewarm. Either you're going to be hot or you're going to be cold. You cannot have one foot into I'm going to be a success and one foot into, well, let's see what happens. No, you got to be putting in the work. You've got to be putting in the work, especially if you just came out of prison, because guess what? You've got to prove yourself every minute and every second of the day, if it's not just to yourself.
Absolutely. And that's how I seen a lot of people grow, a lot of brothers that I grew up with. That's how they grew in prison too. A lot of them was straddling the fence, halfway in, halfway out. So they'll come to the positive classes, and then they'll go to the yard, they call the yard early yard, they go out there and get into some mess.
Yep.
But they wanted the positive part. You can't have both. You can't. You
No,
can't.
not at all. Not
It's
at all.
either you all in or you all out. That's
Yeah, and
that's
you're playing with your life. You're playing, it's bigger than, oh, I might just do this while nobody's looking. You're playing with your life, because let me tell you this. It was a series of small decisions. I'm gonna start hanging out with these people. I'm gonna start drinking. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start that, let's see here. I started, falling off when I was like 14. By the time I was 28, I was in jail, going to prison. That's 14 years. So the 14 years I spent doing the wrong thing ended up with losing a significant chunk of my life, a significant chunk of my life. So if you're coming out, you need to have a solid plan in place to be a
absolutely.
success after lockdown.
Absolutely.
And you
And
get
and
wait,
that's
and
what I
don't
said.
forget where you came from. Don't forget the little things we did that got us to
Right.
that point, because it's the same little things that you do in the right direction. They're going to get you to where we're at right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I always say that success is measured. For me, it's measured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we don't just put a monetary, amount on success, and you successful you because you rich, or no,
Uh-uh.
your success is what your growth and development, your rehabilitation, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's just everything that you're doing in life now to being that better person, that better human being. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
That's success.
very
You
important.
nailed it.
Very, very important. You know,
Yeah.
there's another thing that I want to touch on briefly if I could, because
Yeah.
I always seize this moment. I never let these moments go when I meet someone. Um Especially a female, because my upbringing, I grew up inside, and growing up inside, I grew up under honoring women now because of who I was
Yeah.
in my youth. So, I used to call brothers the N word, and I used to call females the B word. Like that. That was every sentence that came out of my mouth. That's how I lived my youth. And so I began to grow and develop in there. And I told myself I would never use those words again. And the last time I used those words were in 1996, that I
Oh
never
man.
used the B word or the N word. Right.
Yeah.
And I also told myself that I don't care who it is that I come into contact with on this earth, any female that's on this earth that I meet personally, and I'm just meeting you for the first time formally today, that
Yeah.
I want to apologize to you. Just
Oh.
apologize to you because of my past. I know that, know what I'm saying? You understand, and what we
Mhm.
talked about, I think you can see my growth and development. However, I still want to take that this time to genuinely apologize to you just for the person I was. That person that I wasn't a good person to women. And although I was in New York or
Yeah.
in DC, or wherever I was, or Springfield, Massachusetts. Although if I
Mhm.
was in those, I made sure that I had a a girl in every state, every place that I went to, and I abused them
Oh no.
mentally, spiritually, never
Mhm.
physically. But that's still abuse by me having this girl and that girl. And so that was the ton of weights, a part of the ton of weights that was lifted off my shoulder. I
Mhm.
also told myself that I would never be in a relationship, but with one person at a time. So,
Oh.
so I
Well,
would
if I
never.
can make your promise to yourself come true in this moment, that's right. And let me go ahead and straighten my crown because I'm a queen. And I sure
That's
appreciate that. I do,
no.
because a lot of people, like I said, I went through all sorts of situations in which I'd led people down the wrong path. So I get that, and I get how it helps to heal. It's a healing
And a lot
thing.
of and a lot of us guys, we lead our women down the wrong path. And that
Yeah.
in my youth, that's what I did. A lot of women trusted in me with their heart. They
Yeah.
trusted me with that, and I've abused it. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? We used to, not to get off into all the stories, but
Mhm.
I used to learn, target women that could help me and me help them, but we'd do something as simple as have them rent a car for us, and you know
Yeah.
if we damage the car, something, leave it there, and we don't
Yep.
even think about, hey, that it is
The
what it is. We don't
repercussions.
realize what we did to her credit. We don't realize what we did to her
Oh,
life.
yeah.
And
But
so,
let
I
me
just,
so when you went inside though, you start thinking about that. You start thinking
no,
about the ripple effect, especially if she has some kids. You know what I'm saying? So now she owes for this
that's another
car. She's
thing.
always I'm trying to tell you. That's
That's right.
and that I'll just go ahead and liken that to my situation. I wasn't good to the men in my life. I was always out to get something. And then I met a run for my money. And I used to tell people that when I was in the penitentiary. I used to always feel like men were, to be used, they were punks, da 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 da. I was always stronger. Well, someone came up underneath me that saw that I was all cocky and basically naive and used all those things against me. So, do I treat people better now? Yes. Do I know what to look for in people like that? Yes. Do I accept your apology? Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely.
I just definitely didn't want to leave this moment.
Oh, well, thank you. I
You
appreciate
understand?
that. I appreciate
Because
that.
it's a lot of, and I notice, and I say this because I also notice that, okay, it might be me wanting to be different from, and I think it's good. I believe this is a good thing, me being different from the other person, because
Mhm.
I grew up in there. Like I said, I grew up in prison. There's no getting around that, from the
Yeah.
age of 20 to 48,
Yeah.
49, so me growing up in there, I knew the brothers that were a part of creating good stuff with me,
Yeah.
on the side of me, that came home, and some of them still straddling the fence. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So they've
Oh,
been
yeah.
able to
There's no
overcome
future in
one
that.
part. They've been
Mhm,
able to overcome one part. They got their education. You know what I
mhm.
mean? But they still out there, and they still,
Yeah, and
abuse
there's
the
no
women.
future in that. That's why
what
we
I mean?
have, well, you know what? I'm still working on my success. I'm still working on my testimony. I'm still working on doing whatever I can to help those I left behind. That is my success. Success looks different ways, but my success is if someone is impacted by my story. And just like you said, those guys that are half in, half out, there's no future in that. Just for any woman that's listening, if you're half in, you're half out, there's no future in that. There's no future in that. You've got to be, like you said, and I'm going to keep saying it. I might just steal that and take it somewhere else, but I'll bring it back. You're all
It's
in.
okay. It's okay.
Either you're all in about helping yourself and helping somebody else, or you're
I
not.
think you said it too. We said it
Yeah.
at the same time.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
Well,
can
here's
use
what
it
I'm
whenever
saying,
you
man.
want.
You cannot play around with your freedom because you might lose it. And you cannot play around with mindset change. If you keep thinking the same negative ways, you keep perpetuating the same negativity, you keep doing the same negative things, it's not going to turn out well. Now, listen, every day when I wake up, I know I'm putting in the work because it's not just me. I am a representative of what a formerly incarcerated person can do and what we look like. So that is a success, to be a representative for those I left behind.
I'm gonna steal that one from you too. I'm a
Okay, do
representative.
it. Yeah.
I don't use that enough.
Well, steal
Too.
this one. I just came up with this one. If you don't walk in the room like you own it, you never will.
Period.
Absolutely.
Period. No question. You see me, right? I'm not even looking at you because I'm writing it down to
Oh,
make
okay,
sure.
cool. That's
Even
right.
though
That's right. And when I walk in that room, I'm going to own it. It doesn't matter what my past is. It's what I'm doing in this moment.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And guess what? You might want to hear what I have to say. Maybe I could put you up on something. Yeah.
That's right. No, we definitely gotta I think we should make our own platform too. Like
Yeah. Let's do it.
on a
Let's
weekly
do it.
basis,
What's
once
stopping
a
us?
week or once every other week when we
What's
talk,
stopping us?
we give each other, some
Well,
of this.
then let's just do that. We'll be back in 2 weeks. How about that?
Okay, I
All right.
appreciate you. I
No
appreciate
problem.
you.
Listen,
No
once
question.
more, thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much for letting me give a voice to the people I left behind, and all the things that you did in the state of Missouri, or excuse me, in the state of New York. I need to be able to do here. So if anyone can help me to impact change for the women whose names aren't being said anymore, for the people who are getting out, if you can help me in any way, I am in the state of Missouri, but I have mouth will travel.
Oh, listen, I have a women's organization that consists of at least 95% formerly incarcerated out here that
Yeah.
that we interviewed as well and that I know personally. So
Say their
I'm
name, give them some
already,
props.
my mind is already going where how we could
That's
get you
right.
linked up,
That's
how we
right.
could get y'all linked up with each other to talk with each other.
Absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
question.
So 2 weeks it is?
No question. You got me. 2 weeks. No
All
if
right.
is what's about it. We just set up the day and the time and we good.
All right. And so
if you
everybody who's out here on social media, success after lockdown, so glad to be a part of it. I am.
no
And I'm
question.
so glad to be looked at as a success because guess what? There's more to come.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. And for our audience and followers and just the world that's watching now, could you just let everybody know how to get in touch with you, where to get in touch with
Sure.
you,
Got my own
everything,
webpage.
everything.
I'm super excited about this webpage, www.syretatalks.com. And that's SYRETA and then talks, because I'm pretty good at that. But hopefully every time you hear me, you'll be able to take away something. I have a YouTube, Syreta Talks, Instagram, Syreta Talks, Facebook, Syreta Talks. So it's pretty easy. If you can spell the first name, just go on there. And like I said, have mouth will travel. I want to get the message out. I want to talk about mindset. I want to talk about transformation. I want to talk about inspiration. And if you want to call it motivation, whatever you need to, just get a hold of me. Thanks.
No question. No question. I love your energy.
Thanks.
Love your energy and spirit. And I know we will go far. With
Absolutely.
this platform with you. I
That's
know
right.
no
Let's
question.
do it.
No question, Syreta. Appreciate you.
No problem. All
Appreciate
right.
the time you taking with us here at Success After Lockdown. And I think the next time we'll speak to each other too, Anthony, my partner, Mr. Cologne, will definitely be here as well.
I couldn't wait to meet him. I couldn't.
No
as soon as you mentioned that there was, I said, I saw that when I was looking it up, and I said, all right. And next time you're going to have to get some pictures of me up there too, so you can represent the women.
Okay, absolutely. Not a problem. Yeah. That's done already. Mark,
I don't have any like that man though, like this. No, that wasn't our pose.
Okay.
We did hit the floor though, you know. All right, take care.
All right. Okay, take care with you as well.
All right, bye-bye.